Welcome into episode 6 of Plead Your Case. Today, Stone Manges has something to say, as well as the Pick'em segment making a big return with Benicio DeFalco and Dean Shazer. But before that, Anthony DiFilippo and myself will break down the state of the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, then finishing off with myself again and Richie Dininni making his debut on Plead Your Case. Stick around, sit back, relax. It is time to plead your case.
Welcome into Plead Your Case, Wadesburg Community Television's national sports debate show, now expanding outside the realm of the Power 4 sports. All our panelists will expand into the depths of professional sports while speaking on the newest sports topics each week. We're also bringing new mini-segments like I Got Something to Say, State of the Union, Pick'em Pools, while even bringing back a popular mini-segment, the 5 and 5. Here at PYC, we plan to create debates, create memories, and the best takes possible for you, the viewer. No one is safe. Every opinion, every angle will be challenged and discussed to further detail. So sit back, relax. It's now time to plead your case.
A hodgepodge of nothingness. A minor league baseball team. Those are two things that have been used to describe the Pittsburgh Pirates over the last 10 years or so. And to talk about it, it's myself, Anthony DiFilippo, and my co-host on the Cannonball Comin' podcast, Logan Arblaster, to my left, also to my left on the screen. Logan, I've kind of run out of words to describe this baseball team, minor league baseball team, a hodgepodge of nothingness, a team that just threw Bucko bricks into the river to the dump. What do you have to say?
They literally hit the entire checklist, Anthony, on all of the terrible things that could go on in a baseball season. They actually reinvented some. Yeah. I mean, from the Clemente Wall incident, it's a tragic situation there, to the Bucko bricks, and just the on-field performance in general. I mean, at one point, Dennis Santana was throwing hands from the bullpen at a fan that was screaming at him. I mean, they were off the rails this year, and it was a season that the Pirates, the organization, was hoping that they could get back on track for. They had high hopes. I think a lot of people thought they could compete for the playoffs, and they took a step backwards, finishing with 76 wins the 2 years prior, back-to-back years, and they were 5 wins worse in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, people thought they were going to win maybe 85 games this year. They ended up going 71 and 91, not to mention all of the bad things they had just happened to their organization. Clemente Wall incident, I thought you were going to mention the Surfside ad thing on top of the actual Clemente.
How do you mess that up?
That is such a travesty. Such a travesty.
You're talking about the most loved player maybe in your franchise's history. The whole wall's dedicated
not
to
maybe,
him.
the most loved player. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe. We could get into that. But the point being here that the Roberto Clemente wall is 21 feet high. It is named Roberto Clemente. It's named after Clemente.
I don't see any 21-foot Surfside cans. That's all I gotta say.
An alcohol advertisement on the right field wall over top of where his 21 used to be. That's not good.
I don't know who made that decision, but I also don't know who made the decision to bring back general manager Ben Cherington for another season. This will be year number 7 of a proverbial rebuild. Logan, I know you have extensive thoughts on bringing back the big-time GM Big Ben.
You can't call him Big Ben. There's one Big Ben in the entire Pittsburgh area that you can call him that, and that's 7. Okay. But for Ben Cherington, this guy is now going into year 7. He's maybe the only general 6, 7. He's maybe the only general manager that's been through 6 years and had this much losing and can come back to a team. So many people thought that his tenure in Pittsburgh was over, and I heard a rumor that it could have been maybe an ex-Royals GM, and he probably would have been much better off than what we're seeing right now with Ben Cherington. But the fact stands here that every other team in the National League Central outside of the Pirates has made the playoffs at least 2 times since the Pirates started this rebuild under Ben Cherington. The Cardinals have been there twice. The Reds have been there twice. The Cubs have been there twice. The Pirates started their rebuild 2 years before all those teams. Where are they at now, Anthony? Help me out.
Yeah,
help me out. What are we going to do here? Because
this is crazy.
If you're trying to make a team into a contender, you lose so much that you're essentially gifted Paul Skeens.
Yep.
The general manager's job's so easy at this point. They just need to get 3 bats, and that's all they need to get into the postseason.
I think it's a tough general manager making the tough decisions easy, or rather making the easy decisions tough, I guess is the better way to say it, for lack of a better word. Being gifted Paul Skeens, the first overall pick 3 years ago, I guess at this point. He's played a season and a half in MLB.
And he at least did that right. He could have picked Dylan Cruz.
And he's a Cy Young contender this year. Dennis Santana was a pickup off waivers from the New York Yankees. He's a reliever of the year candidate this year. So I guess that's one other move that Ben Cherington made correctly. He's made a lot of decisions correctly in the pitching department. Their issue is when it comes to their hitting. Like you mentioned, Logan, they have to add, all they've had to do for the last 2 off seasons is add 2 or 3 competent bats, and they haven't been able to even do that. Bringing in Spencer Horwitz, who, yes, looked good in September, but so did Jared Triolo, and, how far did that get him the year before when he looked that good? It's just annoying, and it's also annoying to me, and this might actually be an unpopular take, that Don Kelly got brought back for this year. I am not a fan of bringing back a guy who really didn't show that much. He may have played pretty close to 500 baseball, but is that at the point we're at right now? Is the standard to be a 500 baseball club? Or is the standard to actually win 90 games? Can someone help me out with that?
The standard, a Big Ben comparison here. We're flying all over the place in
Well,
Pittsburgh.
you and Mike talked about the Steelers and had a great conversation a couple weeks ago. So I
did.
mentioned, bring back some of those aspects.
Some callbacks there.
Yeah.
No, this organization's all over the place right now, Anthony. And you were on a rant there before I made the Big Ben comment. Where were we picking up off of?
Where were we even going? Just travesty of an organization in total?
I was going to say 2 things about Don Kelly, and I'll start with this. Number one, I don't think anybody is interested in managing the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. So that's first off.
Derek Shelton might be.
If there is a reason that they just brought him back before they even made it to the end of the World Series here in the Major League Baseball calendar, is because they know that nobody wants the job. So that's what made it so frivolous for me. But I do also see the point that you could have seen if there were going to be other options. I just think that they really knew that nobody was going to want the position. And when it comes down to Don Kelly, he's really a 500 manager with the Pirates so far. They fell off a little bit at the end of the season under
that's
him.
the goal, 500.
But it's not okay. That's not okay. And that's really what Derek Shelton was too with the Pirates, a 500 manager until the beginning of the season when he got fired into May. And it shouldn't have lasted that long. I mean, if you think about that alone, the Pirates only reached double-digit wins barely with Shelton by mid-May.
I'm not even going to say the name Terry Francona up on the desk because I think that's going to irk both of us.
He could have got a call last year. He was a Pirates fan his entire life.
He wanted to be the Pirates manager. You couldn't have told me he didn't want to be the Pirates, but he wanted to actually manage this team. And the Reds just offered him a job.
He might have done it for free.
He would not have done it for free.
No.
He would not have done it for free. I wouldn't do anything for free, so
Well, another big story, Anthony, also Andrew McCutchen coming back or not coming back. What do you think about that?
That is a really good topic to talk about because the two of us and, a lot of the viewers don't know that we've had tiffs about this before, about Andrew McCutchen. You're a big Andrew McCutchen supporter, and I get it. And so am I.
95% of the fan base.
And I actually am to an extent, and I've actually warmed up to him more than I was at the end of last year. I thought last year should have been it for him. But after this year, he hit 260. The problem with Andrew McCutchen is he doesn't want to commit to being a bench player on this Pirates team. And I think that's the role that would serve him best. He's to the point in his career where I guess his ego is...
Did you talk to him? Did you have a conversation
with him? Did I have a conversation with him? No, I could tell you by the lineups. Otherwise, he'd be on the bench.
He was on the bench.
He wasn't on the bench, though. He wasn't. He was still
he's
5th or 6th.
When he's not
they moved him down to 5th
9.
in the lineup, finally. Glad to see that.
Who would be excited to be sitting on the bench? Nobody. And when you're a guy that's won an MVP and really is your only MVP on the team in the last 3 decades since Barry Bonds.
Isn't that a problem in and of itself?
Oh, it is. But I'm just saying that he kind of disregards that entire point you made because he is one of the few players in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby, Ben Roethlisberger. I put Andrew McCutchen on the same pedestal. Yes, he's not putting out those 2013 to 15 numbers. He's no longer an NL MVP. He still hit 13 homers, almost 60 RBI. That's enough to keep you in a lineup, especially for the Pirates right now. But if you're trying to compete, yes, I think he should probably be a bench guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you look at the stats in the second half of every season that he's played over the last 3 years, whatever he's been back with the Pirates,
around the
it's
league.
always a regression for Andrew McCutchen. in the second half of baseball seasons. I think, and I said this to you last year, Logan, if McCutchen plays 90 to 95 games, that's when the Pirates will get him at his best. I mean, he's obviously already a designated hitter-only guy, and he should continue to be that if he keeps playing in MLB. But yeah, I'm on board, and the point I was building up to is I'm on board with him returning for another year, but he can't be one of the 3 bat acquisitions the Pirates have this offseason.
I mean,
you know what I mean? He can't count in that equation.
And you could argue that he was still one of the Pirates' best top 3, top 4 hitters last
Which
year.
Is
and
sad.
It is just
it's
sad
so
for the organization, but if
yeah.
you're looking at it from McCutchen's standpoint,
yes.
you can see why he
yes.
still wants to be in the lineup. He thinks he can contribute
yes.
more than he has,
yeah.
and he reflected on it himself. He even said in the exit interviews or whatever at the end of the season that he was looking at himself first. What do I need to do for the Pittsburgh Pirates to be better before I even consider coming back? But I think also the price is going to have to be right. There's a lot of moving factors there, money being probably number one as it always is for the Pirates.
Which is always dumb. It's just always just stupid.
Yeah, and what are they going to have?
What are they going to pay him? $5 million? That's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing for any other baseball team. That's something for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
They do have a lot of extra cap space right now because
cap space, even though there isn't a cap.
Well, that was the wrong way to put it. They have more financial flexibility.
That's true.
Brian Hayes, that trade got some money off the books for the Pirates.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to reallocate that money if they want to. Now, will they do it? That's going to also come down to the owner doing his job, and that's kind of pushing the general manager not to put money from that they have available to them into what do you call it? Like a statistician, analytics base. We don't want that. We want major league players on the field if you're the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah, well, the analytics, the ex-WOBA might tell me that this guy's going to be good in 5 years. Okay, like what point have we gotten to? All the prospects the Pirates have theoretically had over the last 5 years have either been Paul Skeens or they've been duds, really. I mean, if you really look at it. Who all has panned out this system?
I'm trying to think of one right now. I mean, Nick Gonzalez might be the most promising.
He's the Pirates' starting second baseman right now.
Plethora of second baseman.
He didn't impress me all that much.
He didn't impress me.
He's the best out of the G1 Bay, Leover Peguero, Nick Gonzalez, Jared Triolo, Mason Martin class of
those are the
Pirates
names. It's just a never-ending cycle of what you hear in G1 Bay, Jack Sawinski, Jared Triolo. You got to root out these quadruple A players. That's what they are. That's the title. That's the name of the game. And Anthony started this segment by saying they're a minor league team. And they are.
They play
I do think there's AAA teams that could beat the Pirates right now.
Yep. It's absolutely true. And Logan, I will mention one positive thing because you kind of hinted at it.
Right.
The Brian Hayes trade was a good move for the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'm glad they made it because he was awful in a Reds uniform. He was awful in a Reds uniform. They wanted him gone.
I've talked about it for years. You can't pay a guy
Yeah.
strictly to play third base just to be on the field for his defense. Yeah. That's not why you pay a guy. That doesn't make any sense. Just because he has the most defensive runs saved in the MLB doesn't mean he's winning you more
And you better
games.
make every play
Maybe
if you're going to be that bad at the plate. You better make every play.
That
He
bad.
doesn't.
He's had 4 or 5 home runs in the last 700 at-bats.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you gave me 700 at-bats, I wouldn't hit 5 or 6 home runs, but I feel like I'd get on base a lot more. This guy's only batting like 220 right now.
I got a pretty small strike zone, so it actually might play to my benefit.
Brian Hayes has the pop of you playing wiffle ball. And I've seen you play wiffle ball.
I don't have a lot of pop, people. I have a stance like G1 Bay and a swing like Shohei Ohtani, but it doesn't do much.
You're giving yourself way too... Did you just compare yourself to Shohei Ohtani? That is the worst thing.
You compared Andrew McCutchen to Sidney Crosby about 2 minutes ago, so you got to give me some
No. We're not going there. We're going to have to wrap this segment
yes.
up.
Sidney Crosby plays hockey on this recording day. Sidney Crosby is 38 years old and scored 90 points last year. He scored 90 points last season.
He's changed the game of hockey by himself. McCutchen has not changed the game of baseball. I do understand that. But if we're talking about the Mount Rushmore of Pittsburgh, yes. Thank you.
And Mario
My goodness,
Lemieux replaces McCutchen on the Mount Rushmore. 2 hockey guys and Big Ben. That's what I got. That's all I got to say.
There's probably more than that. But we're keeping it Pirates.
We're keeping it all Pirates. The Steelers are a 3-1 team right now. The Penguins start tonight. The Pirates lost 90 games last year. But it's always fun to see the two of us converse and argue about them up here on the panel. Logan, anything else you want to bring up? We have brought up a whole heck of a lot.
It's not all bad. We have made it very dismal. We have made it very, very dark.
And a lot of it is.
But the truth is, as much as all of that is true, it's also true that they are really close. And if you score 4 runs per game, if they did that last year, they would have been a 90-win team. Yeah. That's the facts. Yeah. They would have been a 90-win team if they averaged 4 runs per game, which is a little bit less than National League average, actually. Yeah. So you put a great pitching staff together. The bullpen's still good, I think. I wish they still had Aroldis Chapman and Bednar at the back end, or they'd really be lights out. And then there's a game this week featuring Jamison Taillon and Quinn Priester. So guys that you couldn't get right in the system. Maybe that's part of the reason why Oscar Marine got fired as the pitching coach.
You're not a Rafael Flores and Nick York guy?
I can't say I am.
No, I can't say I am either. Yeah,
they're really close.
No, yeah, I completely think they could be close. I don't think the way their team is being managed will put them close at all, because I think they'll probably botch this offseason like they have the last 6. I mean, you gotta bring in. You have to. I mean, we keep talking about this, and we're going to talk about this for the next 8 months. It's going to be ruminating in all of our minds. Maybe I'll forget about the Pirates for a couple random months during December if the Steelers ever do anything with their team, which I actually think they have a good shot to this year. But yeah, it's it's just so annoying to see, because if you don't pick up a guy like Josh Naylor's on the market again this offseason. They have first base option.
Well,
Pete Alonso's on the market.
Had a great month of September, so surely
I don't believe in Septembers. I don't believe in Septembers, especially when you're playing teams like the Pirates played this September, who weren't all that good.
They're participation trophies for bad teams. You see it every year. It's the same process. This might be the most we've ever agreed on something, but I'd love to come back.
I absolutely love this. This is awesome, because we argued for about half the middle part of this segment.
No, we didn't. It wasn't arguing.
We didn't.
It was
debating.
Respectable bantering.
Respectable banter. We do that all the time. I mean, we spend a lot of time around one another.
Too much time.
Way too much time. And with that being said, we've spent way too much time on the segment, so we're going to wrap things up. When we come back, we're going to have Stone Manges with something to say about another dismal team, the Penn State Nittany Lions. What's James Franklin doing this week? Stone will be back in just a couple of minutes.
Welcome in to the 5 and 5 Pick'em segment. Today we got 3 different NFL games going on, and we have 2 MLB games that we have debuting for you on this Pick'em segment. Myself, Joe Chirillo, will be hosting for you. I'm wearing a Penguins jersey. It's NHL, but that's okay, because today is the first day for Penguins hockey and for NHL hockey in general. So got to rep the brand at some point. But I have with myself Benicio DeFalco and Dean Shazer up on the desk with me. We're going to be breaking down these games here. First one off the bat, let's get into it. Rams at Ravens. Rams 3-2, Ravens 1-4. Dean, who are you picking?
They just got absolutely sloshed, and if you think them playing in Baltimore is an X factor, it's absolutely not. Cooper Rush is still the quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, and it's simply not going to be close. The Los Angeles Rams are on a tear. They remind me of their 2021 Super Bowl run. They're going to make the NFC Championship. Puka Nacua being right there with Jonathan Taylor as the Offensive Player of the Year. Rams are going to slaughter them just like the Houston Texans did.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking the Rams as well here. The Ravens are great in the run game. The secondary struggles a lot. The Rams, you look at their receiver core, who they have, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, 2 top 10 receivers. Are you kidding me? With Matthew Stafford throwing the ball, I don't think it's going to be close. In fact, I don't even think we're going to see Tyler Huntley. Well, I don't think we're going to see Cooper Rush on Sunday. I think we're going to see Tyler Huntley. He performed that bad, and I think he performs a lot better in this offensive scheme. he's still not going to keep it close. Give me the Rams in a blowout.
Taking the Rams in that one, Benny. Then we move on to the 49ers at Tampa Bay. 49ers 4-1, Tampa Bay 4-1 as well. We look to see who's going to come out on top on this matchup. Benny, take it away here.
I mean, you got Nick Bosa. He's out this season. George Kittle's out once again. They might be better off with Mac Jones as their starting quarterback to this point. He's performed phenomenal. Christian McCaffrey's going to have to take on the workload as he's done all season long in the receiving game and the rushing game. Tampa Bay, they look like a serious contender, possibly even a dark horse in the NFC, and maybe even a dark horse Super Bowl champion with the way Baker Mayfield has been playing. He's 1,283 passing yards to this point in the season, 10 passing touchdowns, only 1 interception. He's cut down the interceptions. I'm all in on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. With that being said, I'm going to take them.
There's a guy called Emeka Egbuka. He went to Ohio State. He now plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mentioned Puka Nacua. I don't even know what you call that. A little bit of rhyme, a little bit of rhythm after those back-to-backs. But he's been an animal. Good, clear offensive rookie of the year up to this point, and that offense is just as explosive without Mike Evans and without Bucky Irvin. Rashad White having to take most of the snaps as the running back one last Sunday. Mac Jones, perfect fit for the system, like you said, Benny. Who is he throwing to, though? Kendrick Bourne? Brandon Ayuk's not there yet. He's still hurt. Christian McCaffrey's the only X factor on that offense, and the Buccaneers have been playing lights out. How about that game Sunday? 38-35. JSN and Darnold versus Buka and Mayfield. However, it's going to be the Buccaneers. They're just more explosive.
Both going the Bucs here. We move on to the final NFL game that we have scheduled. The Chiefs, after their loss last night to the Jacksonville Jaguars, now at 2-3, will play host to the Detroit Lions, 4-1. Dean, who are you taking?
Talking 3-time Super Bowl champion Patrick Mahomes, Jared Goff, who's been there, hasn't gotten the job done yet. Up to this point in the season, this is both teams' Super Bowl. This is the best team the Chiefs have faced. I think the Lions are a little better than the Eagles this year. Slightly. I don't know why. It's just the offense is still there. It was never Ben Johnson's offense. The Lions are just as explosive. Gibbs, Montgomery, Amon-Ra, Laporta. Goff, though, is not Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes will prevail. It's going to be the quarterback who needs to make the big play on the last-minute drive, and that's going to be Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Detroit Lions had a terrible start to the season against the Green Bay Packers. Since then, they found their footing. The offensive looked phenomenal without Ben Johnson. As you mentioned, it wasn't Ben Johnson's offense. It was just the Detroit Lions and their playmakers there. But this game is being played in Arrowhead. I think that is a factor in this one. You can't bet against Patrick Mahomes, and especially the way they just lost in embarrassing fashion. They blew a lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars of all teams. Trevor Lawrence fell down twice to end the game. Are you kidding me? This is not the Chiefs that we thought, and they're going to prove to everyone that they are a team to be taken serious, and they're going to start being the Chiefs once again this Sunday. Once they beat the Lions, we're going to look back on this game and say that's when the Chiefs' run started.
And there we go with the NFL slate. We then go into baseball. This is just the games, not the entirety of the series, just the upcoming games. You have the Brewers at the Cubs. Brewers up 2-0 on the Cubs of a 5-game series. They win this, they move on. Dean, who are you taking?
Well, it could be the series, but however, I'm going to take a different one. You said Brewers Cubs, right? Because I know we're doing two for. You out there, Joe. Brewers Cubs. The Miz made his first postseason start or first postseason appearance after Aaron Ashby let up 3 runs in the first. They settled down. Seiya Suzuki has had a hot bat going into Wrigley. That's where they want to be. However, this is the Pittsburgh Pirates bull, ladies and gentlemen. Quentin Priester, drafted 18th overall in 2019. Now with the Brewers, he has a 2.91 ERA on the road, a 3.02 ERA over the last 15 games. But Tyon has just been as dominant. 2010 second overall pick behind Bryce Harper for the Pirates. That's why it's a Pittsburgh Pirates game. It's their World Series. Yeah, go Pirates. You're still at home. Anyway, the Padres were a good squad. They took a game from the Cubs in Wrigley, but that's where Seiya Suzuki and that offense feeds. He's been the focal point of their offense, and they will steal one. However, they say it's not the series, but I do think the Brewers take it in Game 4.
It's hard to go against the Cubs at home. The Brewers are coming off a phenomenal regular season. The Cubs, they looked defeated yesterday when they scored 3 runs in the first inning. It was a 3-3 ball game, and then they let up 4 unanswered. The Cubs, they need to get off to a hot start versus Milwaukee. Milwaukee, they play fun, they play fast, and they play very entertaining baseball, so they're going to have to put their foot on the gas from the jump. I don't think the Cubs have it in them. I'm going to take the Brewers on the road.
The Brew Crew continuing it on with the sweep. We could see them continuing on potentially all the way to the World Series. And the final matchup we have for you today is the Phillies at the Dodgers. 2-0 Dodgers leading, the reigning champs. They continue to be dominant. Are the Phillies going to be going packing, or are they going to be moving on and hopefully continuing their season? Benny, what do we?
The Dodgers and the Phillies, or 4 runs in the 7th. They won 4-3. Phillies had first and third, 2 outs. They didn't capitalize in a 4-3 ball game on a Freddie Freeman pick. That pretty much solidified it for me. They're going back to LA. LA, who's been the team to beat since the start of the season. Good point, Benny. Due to the World Series ring last year, they also have the highest payroll, and they have the Japanese freaks. Sasaki, Ohtani, Yamamoto. They can't be touched this postseason, and if you're going to roll those 3 out, I get Sasaki's been in the relief role, and Ohtani, a 55 home run guy who strikes out a 56 home run guy, and Kyle Schwarber. It just seems to be unfair. The Dodgers have more firepower, and some guys in this squad shell Aaron Nola. You got Max Muncy, 3 of 3 in his career. Betts, 2 of 3. Conforto and Kike in 3 appearances have hit home runs off of him. So it's going to be a short-lived appearance for Aaron Nola, and it's going to be a short-lived postseason for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, that is going to do it all for this Pick'em segment. 3 NFL, 2 MLB. Continue on here with Plead Your Case to see more about what's going to be going on in the NFL, the MLB, and more in sports.
Oh, I didn't see you there. I'm Mia Hinkins, and welcome to Buell Hall, home of Waynesburg University's Department of Communication. If you visit our campus, you'll have the opportunity to attend some comm classes, enjoy lunch with our students, and watch us in action. We hope to see you here soon at Waynesburg University.
To schedule your personal visit, go to waynesburg.edu/admissions/schedule-visit. Come grow with us at Waynesburg University.
Welcome back to PYC. I'm Stone Manges, and I've got something to say about James Franklin and the Penn State Nittany Lions. In case you missed it this past weekend, which you probably didn't, the winless 0-4 UCLA Bruins defeated Penn State, who was ranked number 7th in the nation, just 1 week after they lost to Oregon in the whiteout game. That's right, the 0-4 Bruins, who didn't lead for a second in their first 4 games of the year, dropped 42 points on Penn State with their interim offensive coordinator, who was named play caller on Tuesday. Jerry Neuheisel and UCLA only had 2 days to prepare offensively for this game. Neuheisel even admitted to not knowing how to call plays with a headset, but they still laid it on the Nittany Lions in this one. The Penn State defense made Neuheisel and Nico Amaliava look like prime Brady and Belichick. The UCLA offense racked up a combined 435 yards of total offense, went 6 for 6 in the red zone, and only punted once against football guru Jim Knowles' defense. For a team that invested significant NIL money to build a championship caliber roster, it was flat out humiliating to fall in the Rose Bowl. Franklin's team wasn't ready to play from the get-go. This is the first time that an 0-4 team has beaten a top 10 team since Texas El Paso took down BYU in 1985. Welcome to college football infamy, Penn State. The AP preseason number 2 team in the nation went from CFP contenders to unranked in just 6 weeks. An unfathomable collapse for James Franklin's squad, but what else is new? The Nittany Lions once again started the game flat, came in unprepared, and played with no heart. But this isn't the first time that Penn State has fallen in embarrassing fashion to a conference opponent while being ranked in the top 10. Remember Michigan State in 2017 and 18? After choking to Ohio State in back-to-back years? How about in 2021, losing to Illinois at home in 9 overtimes after blowing a double-digit lead to Iowa in Kinnick Stadium? How could you forget Minnesota rowing the boat in 2019 or getting blown out by 5 scores in consecutive trips to Ann Arbor? The list goes on and on. Franklin has gone from losing the big game to losing just games in general. It's the same story year in and year out. Start the season ranked in the top 10, play cupcake games till you get to conference play, lose to the best teams on the schedule, whether it be Ohio State, Michigan, or Oregon. You sprinkle in a loss to an unranked team, and boom, that's Penn State football for you. When asked in a press conference after the game about why his team lost to UCLA, Franklin said that his team didn't recover from last week's loss to Oregon, the circumstances during the week, and travel to Southern California. Franklin essentially dumped the loss on his players for not recovering emotionally from the Oregon hangover and not doing enough to adapt to the situation. Would you ever hear Nick Saban or Joe Paterno even murmur just one of those things about why their team lost? The answer is no, and that's because Saban and Paterno are two of the greats, and James Franklin is certainly not. This loss to UCLA is arguably the worst Penn State loss of the last quarter century, and to be honest, it really isn't even that close. Losing to Oregon and the rest of the big games is somewhat excusable, as Franklin and Penn State are rarely favored in such games, but losing to a winless team who had cleaned house the week before, had an interim head coach, offensive and defensive coordinator, that is inexcusable. TSA shouldn't have let him or the rest of the coaching staff back on the plane to State College. Penn State is in a state of football purgatory, and until significant changes are made, they will remain there. As a fan of the Nittany Lions, I appreciate everything that Franklin has done for the school. He took over at a difficult time for the team and brought them back to national relevancy, but unfortunately, all coaches have a shelf life, and James Franklin has reached the end of his. Franklin needs out, Allen needs benched, and the entire team, players and coaches, need to take a good long look in the mirror and figure out what kind of team they are. As long as Franklin is at the helm of football in State College, it will be like Groundhog Day each and every year for Penn State fans. I'm Stone Manges. That's what I had to say. We're going to take it back to Logan Arblaster and Richie Dininni at the desk when we come back.
Gotcha.
Fading up to Tyler and Mia in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Mia Hinkins.
And I'm Tyler Aaron, and welcome
to Jacket Sports Weekly.
Welcome back into Plead Your Case. I'm joined now with a new face, Richie Dininni. He's going to talk about what pro sports leagues could expand. The NHL is the most recent league to do it, but there are other ones that could. So, Richie, break this down for me. What teams do you think, what locations could be added to the NHL, MLB, NBA, NFL even? Let me know your thoughts on this.
Well, I'll tell you what. I've seen a lot of sports expand in the past few years, most recently being the NHL, of course, with Seattle Kraken. I think that the NBA will be and should be the next teams to expand. I think they will expand with 2 teams, and I think those teams will be Seattle Supersonics will return, and I think we will have a team in Pittsburgh. Now, with the team in Pittsburgh, when you look at the area, we have Pirates, Steelers, Penguins, loved by the entire team. So why not add in another team like NBA, and you know the city will give them love, will show up for them, and you will have sellout games almost every week.
I love the take about an NBA team being here in Pittsburgh. I think that it would be great for the market. I think The idea of watching LeBron James in Pittsburgh would be insane. How crazy would that be? He just had his second decision. He called it the second decision. A lot of people thought he was going to retire and it was for an advertisement. What if he said he was going to come to Pittsburgh to play basketball? Obviously, that's all farcical and that doesn't make any sense. But I just like the prospect of a Pittsburgh National Basketball Association team. And it comes down to financial flexibility. You have to have a lot of factors to go into this, even parking down to the minute details. But if there was one league that I'd like to see expand, it'd be the NBA. And if there's one fantasy I'd have about it, it's about an NBA team being in Pittsburgh. But I will say this, Richie, I'm against expansion teams altogether. So you're really going to have to persuade me here. I have absolutely no love for it at all. Because there's so many teams in all these leagues, it's already hard enough to win a championship as it is right now. It's even going to be harder if there's more teams.
Well, I will say that is true. You know, the more teams you add, the more players that go everywhere, and it can become more difficult to build franchises. Take a good look at the Philadelphia Eagles. That team they had last year when they won the Super Bowl, it was an absolute stacked roster filled with playmakers left and right on the offense, and the defense had superstars as well. But if you add another team, and let's say the NFL added in 2 more teams, make it 34. Then you have, a lot of stuff could be more spread out on the teams, and you wouldn't be able to see these powerhouse teams come together like years ago when we saw the 49ers. They had Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel in his prime, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey. And when you see teams like that, well, if we have expansion teams, I think that will happen. The NFL, I think, has a perfect Goldilocks number of teams with 32. So when you look at expansion teams, I do think that there's still opportunities for teams like the MLB still to expand. The NHL, they could get a few more teams, and same thing with the NBA. I'll say one thing for the MLB going into superstar and stacked teams. Look at the LA Dodgers. If you add another team in, you could see that those superstar players, you could see them leave LA if it is a team that can provide more of a market overall and outbuy those players' contracts, because truth in today's game is that it's all about that money, nothing else. Sometimes they care for the hometown, but for the most part, you're going to see them caring about the money that they're getting.
Yeah, to the MLB point, I mean, half the league is rebuilding at any given time. So you already have half the league essentially uncompetitive. All these 100-loss seasons, triple digits, and it's not even close. And then you want to add a second project onto that, and you want to be able to bring in another, or it wouldn't just be one because there would have to be an even number of teams, 2 more Major League Baseball teams. It's a 162-game season. I just don't see how a team's brought up in the middle of nowhere in a city, and then all of a sudden that fan base is just, so passionate about the baseball team, like, say, New York, how New York fans are with the Yankees, how Pirates fans are in Pittsburgh. It's not a real fan base. It's not a real fan base, and that's also part of the reason, too, why I just don't get expansion teams whatsoever. Yeah. So are you also saying that you're saying that the NBA needs an expansion? You're undecided on Major League Baseball.
I am actually kind of decided on Major League Baseball. I will say for Major League Baseball that they definitely should expand teams. I mean, let's take a good look at the team that's moving right now. The the A's. The Oakland A's are going over to Las Vegas, and we're not. The entire team is just, fan base is just blown up about it. They're in shambles. They're upset. They want their team to stay in Oakland. So if we're gonna build this stadium for the MLB, if you're gonna build a stadium, move a team over, why don't you just add another team in? If is it because the fan base won't follow? There won't be a fan base building up, or is it because just this team's not doing well? They don't want to build a new stadium, so they move there. I mean, when
baseball can't fill a stadium right now, though, Richie. They can't fill a stadium right now, and on weekday nights, attendance is around 6,000 people on average around the league. If a lot of these, especially for a lot of these bottom-tier teams. So I just don't like the prospect of it. I don't think that it's a good move for the MLB. It's not a scintillating experience for me. So I don't get what you're saying. I don't.
Well, I think that expanding the teams when you add them to a franchise, when you add them to cities that are looking for teams, it brings more opportunities for fans to go and interact with these games.
So you're telling me if, let's say you live in Portland, Oregon, and all of a sudden there's a Major League Baseball team that's just planted smack dab there outside the college football stadium, and you're going to just all of a sudden, day one that they're there, be a passionate fan, and you're ready to go. And you think within 5 years you're going to get a packed house crowd that is just as ecstatic to be at a playoff game as, say, Pirates fans would be in PNC Park.
I don't think we would ever see something like that off the rip day one. Because everything when you're building something, it takes time and it takes critique. You don't build, when you're building a tower, you don't build it block by block straight upwards. You build a foundation, you go from there. Obviously, we'll go back to the A's real quickly, moving to Las Vegas, in general, if you just move a team there, you don't regain an entire fan base overnight. That's why they are announced ahead of time, to get interest in the fans and everyone there so they can become interested in the team.
And that's really what it is. You have to have enough interest, the honeymoon phases of this, but you also have to maintain that interest. It can't fall off. So if the team stinks to begin with, and that's the other thing here, this dilutes talent, because we've seen it in the NHL. Whenever there's expansions, they have the expansion draft. A lot of the great players from around the league, they go to the new teams, but there's also a good amount that don't. And they end up diluting the talent across all the teams in the league. And I just think that the product isn't good enough right away in those new cities that they're catching on well enough. And you've seen it already happen, for example, in different sports too. You've seen it with the Montreal Expos even in baseball. So I'm just not a huge fan of this, Richie.
I'm not the biggest fan of teams moving. I think it's horrible when a fan base loses their team, but I do think expanding, while it can create more out for players, superstar players going left and right, then we don't get teams. It also creates an opportunity for more players in the league to show what they have and become superstars of their own, instead of being stuck on a team where they couldn't show their potential. Now, yes, you could see this with other teams that if they, maybe a player goes to a different team, is traded, or they sign there. But when you add more teams, and if you add 2 more teams into the MLB, NFL, NBA, you will see players that have to take that role to be a superstar that maybe couldn't take that opportunity on the other team, and it creates new opportunities for to see emerging stars throughout leagues.
So, Richie, you've given your opinion, I've given mine. Are there any direct locations you have that you'd like to see teams expand to in the professional leagues, a specific sport that you want to see targeted first? What direction would you go with that if you were a commissioner of one of these leagues?
I would love to see, and I do think they will do this before the end of the decade, I would love to see NBA. I think that while 30 teams is great overall, I do think that having more teams would be better overall, especially for how small rosters can be in the NBA. There's only so many spots, I think it's maybe 18 at most, and then all these other players don't get opportunities to prove themselves on the court. You add a team to Pittsburgh, the team that, known for their Steel City, and then they get their sports teams over time. If you add an NBA team in there, I know the city will show them love. And if you give players opportunity to go to Pittsburgh, where it's a great marketing city, great television city for games, you'll see a great output overall in the fan base, in profits, and in players' hearts.
Anything else you want to touch on?
No, that's all I got.
That's all you got? Well, the last thing I want to say, I think the Seattle Supersonics should come back. That would be fascinating to watch. But that's all we have for you today on Plead Your Case. Please stay tuned and stick around next time. And sit back, relax. You're watching Plead Your Case.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. I have no regrets, yeah, I'll tie up my chest. I'll never forget what it's like to be in debt. Been stabbed in the